Spectacular.
All right, we're here. We're a little late, but we're going.
It's
We're
okay.
going daytime pregame today. You've got Orlando back in town. Not back in town. They never left. In town for a second straight game. Ben saying good evening. Across the pond. Yeah, it's late there. How's the weather over there, Ben? It's cold here. Did you get a lot of snow last weekend, Tim?
Only a little bit, not like a lot. Fresh.
I agree. I got to tell you, there was a lot of snow here. Not a lot, but enough to be annoying. Phil in the chat with the fist bumps. Hello, Phil. See, now I look blue. Now I don't anymore. Yeah, Orlando back again after beating the Celtics on Friday. Not what you wanted to see from our boys in green there. A letdown game for sure. You had Rob Williams come back, and they just couldn't get the job done for his first game of the year. Tim, what did you take away from that game?
I guess my biggest takeaways would be the Celtics looked out of sync a little bit. There didn't seem to be a lot of leadership in that loss. Again, like it's a long season. They play 82 games for a reason, so I'm not gonna go ahead and like take too much away from it other than the fact of like they underplayed. As bad as Orlando is, I think they were riding a 4-game win streak going into that game.
It's
If I'm
5 now.
correct. It's 5
Yeah.
now. 5
Eh.
potentially going on to 6 if they win today. There's no Tatum today. But it's one of those games where you're just going to have to chalk it up to you didn't play up to your potential. You know you didn't. And it's just a matter of just Rob coming back. You didn't have the leadership with Al Horford getting ejected. Like they just weren't playing cohesive basketball. And I think that was pretty evident.
Yeah, they really started strong. Horford made a couple threes before Rob came in the game. Rob came in. He wasn't necessarily ready per se. He was ready, but he wasn't ready. He still had to go through that first stint, as every single player does usually when they come back from an injury, to get his feet back under him. He came out 4 minutes, had 3 quick fouls. Really would have had 4. They gave 1 to Horford that was clearly on him. But then he came out in his next stints throughout the game, played really well, actually. So that's a very positive thing for anybody that was wondering if he was ready to come back, if they were rushing him. We have a certain individual in the chat giving fist bumps. We will give him back despite his absence. But it's a frustrating game, man. It sucks when they shoot a bunch of threes and miss. I know it's part of their offense. I know it's what they've been doing all season. They rank right up at the top with teams who take the most threes per game, and they're also at the top for percentage. It's just real annoying when they lose because of it. A lot of threes, not a lot of makes. And when you're down, it's hard to come back when that's what you're relying on. I'm hoping they can find their footing. It sucks that Tatum's not playing today for personal reasons. There is a lot of speculation that it is because it is Deuce's birthday. Big birthday bash for the 5-year-old yesterday all over social media. I don't think he's having a baby, per Landon. Phil also in on the investigation, wondering why the man is out today. But you got to focus on who's out there. Jaylen Brown out there had a rough game on Friday, turned the ball over a lot. I'm looking to see a nice bounce back from him. Tim, what are you thinking you're going to see from him? And is there anyone else you're looking to see a big game out of?
Well, for one, I think for Tatum, I think it was just like a family thing. Like apparently a lot of people are coming out of town just for Deuce's birthday. So I mean I think it's totally fine for him to be, missing another game or something like that. To be fair, the Celtics have also, been on the road trip. They just got back home. Deuce's birthday was Saturday. Obviously Jason had it all over his story or whatever. Yeah,
Phil
Deuce's
allows
birthday.
it.
I mean, this is this kid's 5th birthday. They've got family in town, and it's also the Magic. Look, the Celtics should have put up a better fight on Friday.
They should have
And
won.
they should have. Well, exactly.
If I'm
So,
Brad
right, so
Stevens, I'm saying, listen, Jason, you want the day off Sunday, you better come out there and win on Friday. And if you don't, you're suiting up. No, I'm go ahead.
but with everything, like the Celtics should be able to beat this team without Jason in the lineup.
Agreed.
And I know that like he is an MVP caliber player. He is, part of their superstar core, but you should be able to beat Orlando without him. And I think if they play up to their potential, they should. Yeah, exactly. Ben, I think that's fair. And I think for Jaylen, I think the biggest thing is, to put it quite bluntly, just get your head out of your ass, man. Like, what are these turnovers?
Tough,
I'm not gonna
tough
sugarcoat it anymore. I
criticism
love JB.
from
I
the
love JB.
man.
Like, I look, I love JB. Like, I love JB. I really do. But the turnovers are driving me nuts just because I think they're so avoidable. There was one that was really, really bad. Was they were like on a breakaway and he had like Smart to his left, and instead of going up with the ball, he like made this like lazy half-assed pass over to Smart, and like there was a Magic defender right in between them, and he just picked the ball off, and I'm like, man, like that, there's just no awareness with the passing, and I just don't understand where the disconnect is in terms of just like, that's a very basic play. You have to make that. And I know that he's capable of it. So it's just weird. Like, he just falls asleep at the wheel. And it happened defensively against the Magic too. Like a couple backdoor plays where it's just like, you need to stay in front of your man. You need to stay in front of your man. So like, what are we doing here? Jack's bringing the starting five
Yeah,
in there. Yeah, that's about
I
as
was gonna go look
expected.
for
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, there we go.
But Jack's got our back. You have Smart, White, Brown, Grant, and Al Horford, who has had $25,000 taken from him after he got a nice shot on Mo Wagner, a rat. But he baited him nonetheless, got him ejected. You mentioned it earlier, Tim, and you felt like they missed him. See, I'm more of in the boat. Like, they were already down 11 points when he got ejected. There was already a problem going on throughout the game. They really let things not going their way get into their head. The calls weren't the best. Number 60, official number 60. Jack told me his name yesterday. I've forgotten it. Had himself a day, making travel calls from the backcourt, getting the FaceTime on the reviews. But that should not cause you to lose to a lowly Orlando Magic team. It's very frustrating. Sam wearing extra deodorant for good luck. We had a commenter. I did see this. We had a commenter very happy that I called him a rat. He is a rat. He was on the Celtics, did nothing, comes to the Garden on Friday, has a great game, and gets Horford ejected, and he was an irritant, slamming the ball as his brother led the team to victory. Pain in the ass, Mo Wagner.
I've heard people say not nice things specifically about Mo Wagner, that he is just not a likable person. So
Like players?
yeah, not like, I haven't heard it from players, but it's just word of mouth that he's not particularly a great person to play with. And, obviously that makes him a worse player to go against. Just a dislikable guy. So I think calling him a rat is probably, I think that's probably right on the
Accurate?
nose. Yeah, no, I think
All
it's
right.
completely accurate.
The rat comment
The
is
rat.
going nuts. Everyone loves the rat comment.
Yeah. It's not even
Insane.
like it's not even a compliment. It's just like a statement at that point. Like, he's a rat. He's a rat.
Man, they better get it done today. I'm frustrated after that Friday loss. A lot of people on Twitter starting to get upset. They've lost 3 out of 4. Is it time to panic, Tim? I know you kind of touched on it earlier. I know the casuals, they're screaming panic. The Patriots fans are out there hammering it. We got rats in the chat.
Got their fingers
Jack with the rat,
hovering
landed
over.
with the rat. Jimmy J says lose in full panic
There
today.
will be full panic if they lose.
That's a good point.
I think there'll be full panic if they lose. I don't know about not focused, Jimmy J. I feel like it more so has to do with the fact of just, I think there's some fatigue setting in. I think, having that West Coast trip, they went 4-2, but they had, 2 losses, and that Lakers game could have very well been a loss. It was a game that they were fully in control, and they just took their foot off the gas, so to say, so to speak, just for in terms of just having the massive lead. Look, we're going to see a lot of reactions. I think, I've talked to a couple people. I think one thing was, if Tatum doesn't, Tatum's not playing, and if the Celtics lose, then Tatum's just going to get a bunch of flack for it, which I don't think is fair because I think this team is good enough to win without Tatum against a team like the Magic. And granted, like that's not a knock of the Magic. They've got a lot of young talent. Like they've got a really strong young core there, and they're going to be capable of building that out. But they're still like a rebuilding team that you should beat. Like that's just a given. If you're going to say that you're, a top 5 team in the league, this is a team that you should beat, even if you were missing a piece or two. Now, I just feel like there's a chance for them to go out there, make a statement win, beat a team that you're supposed to beat, and then just keep on rolling from here. You're on this massive home stand. I think it goes throughout the rest of is it through the rest of this calendar year? Is
I
it through
think
the
so,
rest of
yeah.
December that they're home because they had such a crazy,
It's
road stretch
7
there?
total games. So they had Friday, today, Wednesday versus the Pacers. Friday, they have the Timberwolves. Christmas, they have Milwaukee. After that, I don't know. I think
Yeah, but if
Houston's
it's
in there somewhere. Um,
most of the rest of this month is going to be at home, which means
I'm
there's
pretty
no
sure
travel. So, all right. Well, I mean, like, yeah. Hope
they
Jaylen
had
decides
3
to
days
pass the ball.
rest. They had 3 days rest. I don't buy the fatigue on that. You came home, you rested for 3 days. You should have been ready to go on
It's different if
Friday.
you're flying, man. And like it wasn't like they were in the same area for a good chunk of that road trip, right? Like they went from Brooklyn to Toronto to Phoenix to LA to go play, actually no, to San Fran. Then they went from San Fran to LA. Granted it's Cali, but like San Fran and Los Angeles are not as close as people would like to make them out to be. Like there's some distance there. Even if you're going by plane, like that's still some distance. So I think just overall, like, it's just been a lot of road travel, and I think the expectation's been really high for the Celtics.
As
So
they
if
should be.
they, yeah, no, I think that's totally fair. But if you just don't play up to that expectation night in, night out, or you start to lose steam, and you've got teams that have a target on your back, you're bound to rack up some losses. I don't think outside of the Orlando game, and they beat the Lakers, so I guess you can't really count that one.
Well, it felt like they
That
lost. That's
it,
fair.
it felt like they
It's
lost, but
fair to
like,
loop that in there with bad performance. They've been bad since last Saturday at Golden State. They
yeah,
haven't been very good. The only thing I really will say is 1,000% true is the target on the back. Teams are gunning for them this year. They're
mhm,
seeing the best performances from a lot of teams. You saw Miami playing pretty well twice. You saw Cleveland give them a good shot twice. Chicago has beaten them twice. Orlando
yeah,
on Friday gave him a pretty good shot too. That a lot of guys on Orlando played an excellent game.
mhm,
The Celtics still are getting in their own way, whether it's being distracted, not being focused, like Jimmy J said. I think that's a good point. When the threes don't fall, when the refs may not be what they want them to be, they get upset and they get their heads out of the game. But this is a good time to plug it. New podcast out today on the How About Them Celtics YouTube channel. If you are not watching there, I don't know how many of you are or aren't. That's a Jack thing. I don't know how he does the old magic there to figure it out. But if you're on Guy Boston Sports, we will not be there come January 1st. So switch over to How About Them
to
Celtics.
here.
You can also like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, as well as Instagram and TikTok at How About Them C's. We'll be there and you'll see all our stuff. Okay, let's see what new comments we have. This is a good one. I want to talk about this, Phil. 80 Glassman. He's hurt again? A
Yeah.
month at least for Anthony Davis.
Oh
Well,
no.
his dad said the Celtics were mean and they don't know how to handle players' health.
Yeah,
And here we
when
are.
players get hurt, I just how are you gonna handle it? I guess we're gonna find out, aren't we? Like they've been really testing that theory. Actually, that's why like AD keeps being like, oh, like my foot, my back, my back. Like they're just trying to see how the Lakers are gonna handle it.
Yeah,
And
you're right. Yeah. Anthony Davis's dad is not so much a basketball dad, but he's actually working to figure out which teams properly handle the health of their players.
he's a
That is his
super
mission. He's
agent.
trying to expose the teams that really abuse these guys and make them go out there and play. Um, hate to see that. You really, really hate when the Lakers aren't doing well, when things don't go their way. It's very sad. It's very sad that they don't have their draft pick this year.
Ugh.
Despite all these hardships that they're dealing with, they have all these great players. They have LeBron blowing their team up, and they're going to get nothing for it. They're going to have AD in a full
It's a
body
shame.
cast while the Pelicans have Brandon Ingram and all these first-round picks from them, including this one where they could get Wembanyama. Maybe not. Maybe they're not that bad right now.
I don't know.
That'd be something. Birkin
Would
says
be
he's happy
something.
about Kemba. Kemba played a great game yesterday for Dallas, 32
They
points. I believe he
lost, but
had
he, yeah.
4 threes, right? Good for Kemba. Another guy, the Celtics just ruined him.
No, Nick Nurse ruined him. We know it was Nick Nurse. I won't
Yeah.
sugarcoat that. I think I think overall, in terms of the way that the Celtics have been trying to handle this Rob injury, though, like I think that's, you know, I think that's commendable. Like I don't think they've been rushing him back. Obviously, I think overall, like I don't know what your takeaway was, but I think for this last game, I thought Rob looked pretty damn good, all things considered. Um, did he? I think if anything, it's just a matter of stamina. Like his balance is clearly still there. Like he's still able to get up, which is good. Like that's an encouraging sign. It's not like his knees are cooked. It's not going to be like the meat's gonna fall right off the bone here. Like you're not looking at him like barbecue chicken, which is great. But now you got to see if you can get him back up to just in terms of just conditioning, being able to run from line to line without getting too gassed. So I think that was one thing that hurt them in that game one. I know that they were down to Orlando at the time, but not being able to kind of stagger those minutes with Rob, giving Rob like 4 or 5 minutes a run and then swapping him out for Al or running them at the same time. So maybe you've got the same situation they did last year where you've got Rob as a roamer. I want to see if they actually do go back to that double big lineup, go to that more traditional like two bigs, because I want to see like how it changes. Like, are you going to have Derek White off the bench then? Because obviously
I
you're going to
think
have
so.
JB and JT out there, right? So like, it's going to be Smart starting. So how does that change your bench dynamic? Because now all of a sudden you've got Derek, you've got Hauser, you've got Pritchard, you've got Brogdon, and you're able to give all these different looks for teams. So I'm just wondering, how they kind of try and spice those things up, because I don't think going small is going to really be the solution here. But if they're trying to manage Rob's minutes, like that kind of changes the way that they might approach this whole situation.
I'll tackle that part first with the bench. I
Mm.
think when everyone's healthy, they will go double big just because you saw success with that lineup last year. You touched on it, Tim. Rob as a roamer is really good. He had a nice block in Friday's game as the roamer. He came off the guy on the corner and helped out. I believe it was Grant had somebody in the post, and he sent the shot into the crowd. Derek White, when he goes back to the bench, I think they're hoping that he can continue to shoot this well and he can be a shooter as Brogdon is the ball handler off the bench. So they both have a defined role that's different from each other and they're not really competing for different minutes. As far as Rob goes, completely agree. He looked super bouncy. Jack and I talked about this with Keith yesterday on the podcast. He looks normal. It's just a testament to what you said, where it's a really good look for the Celtics, who in the past have had questionable ways they've handled injuries. Rob looks ready to go. He was fatigued. He said he was a little tired and winded after the first stint, but after that, and your eyes will tell you this, he felt normal. He looked good. He was blocking shots. He was throwing down alley-oops. He looked like the player last year he was before he tore his meniscus, which is great. He didn't look like playoff Rob, who you could tell was still missing a step. So as a fan, you should be excited about that, and the organization should be proud that they handled it correctly. Not that they had any reason to rush him back, because they didn't. We've got Landon in the chat, our resident, I don't know, marketing
Hype man.
team. Hey guys, switch over to How About Them Celtics YouTube and watch and subscribe. He's absolutely right. We will not be on Guy Boston after the new year. So if you want to continue to see Tim and I, as well as Jack, all three of us handsome fellas, you got to go over to that channel and subscribe. You'll get all the podcasts. You'll get live streams. Jack and I have one coming up tomorrow in the 6 o'clock hour, maybe 6:30. That's when we did the Thursday one. We're going to do about 2 of these a week. Some Celtics, some non-Celtics. Thursdays went really great. We had a good turnout. It was a lot of fun. Come hang out in the comments. We'll chat with you. We'll respond to whatever you send in, and we'll have a good time. It was a lot of fun on Thursday. That'll be on YouTube as well as Facebook. Now, as far as today's game goes, we've got Dennis in the chat with the fist bumps. Got to do the fist bump. I think the Celtics should have a chip on their shoulder. This is a game similar to how Miami came in that second game when they had the 2 games in Boston. The Celtics should have that same kind of fire under them. Miami got kind of run out of the building on the Wednesday game. Bam got tossed. Al got tossed in this Friday game. They should be ready to play against this Magic team. You had Mo Wagner being a rat, irritating people. He's going to be there today. You'll get another swing at him. Take advantage of it. Run these guys out the gym, man. They're not as good of a team as the Celtics. If they lose this game, it's going to be really irritating.
Yeah, and I think it's, even with the win that Orlando had the other day, they're still like arguably like the worst road team in the NBA.
So that was
So
what, their second win, right?
yeah, it was like their second win on the road, which is crazy. Like you really look at it, like that's insane. But I think overall the Celtics should come in here with like something to prove. And I hate to say that, like you hate to say that because they're going against a team like this should not be a prove it game, but I think this is a get right game. And you don't have Jason in the lineup, which neither here nor there. It's fine. Again, this is a team you should beat without him. Like you don't need like if Jaylen was out, it wouldn't change anything for me. Like this is still a team that you should go out there and just mop the floor with them. Like they're still a really good young team, but like still a team that you should run out of the building. So I think you need to look for some better looks from three. They shot a lot of threes. They did not shoot great from three in that game on Friday. So if the threes aren't falling, don't hesitate to try and change things up. I'm not saying don't shoot the three at all in its entirety. No, you just need to be able to get other looks. I think they need to be able to, get some movement going, set some screens, set some pin downs, like get some guys open, be cutting and attacking. Orlando's got a lot of size, but they're still a team that you can expose because of that. They've got a lot of size with shooting too. Like Mo Bamba was hitting threes last game. Obviously, Paolo Banchero, fantastic player, capable of shooting the three, and he's got some good size to him. So the only way that I think that you manage to beat a team like this, who poses some mismatch problems just based on their ability to spread the floor, like I think you just need to keep the ball moving, and you just need to be not hesitating to keep the ball, take care of possessions basically, which was not something that they did last game. They turned the ball over way too much, especially Jaylen, who had like half the team's turnovers, and they all looked bad. Like they were just lazy. And I think that's, someone said it as much, crank up the defense, lock in. Like that's what they have to do.
I was just about to put it up. I was
Yeah.
going to say, you let Cole Anthony and Markelle Fultz really get to whatever spot they wanted to down the stretch, and you couldn't get a stop when you were trying to claw your way back into that game, which you put a decent effort towards. I mean, that was a decent comeback effort. They had the building going. They had the fans kind of believing, and they should have been able to do it. I mean, it's Orlando. There were some moments in that game where it looked like they could have pieced together a comeback. They just couldn't get the stops to do it, which is the most frustrating thing. This is an Orlando team without a dominant scorer. It's not like you're playing against a Giannis or a DeMar DeRozan, as funny as it is to throw his name in there. But when they played Chicago, he was truly super consistent. And he's a guy that can create shots for himself and make it difficult for you to get stops. Kevin Durant, those type of guys. Orlando doesn't have that. You should be able to take advantage of it. Now, as we move closer to tip-off time, it's that time. Pick of the day, as it loads into the chat, is going to be presented by Smash the Odds. My God, this is taking forever. At least you can still hear me.
7 years ago.
Having trouble connecting. Spectacular. Cannot post comments. Well, I'll read it to you. Pick of the day presented by Smash the Odds at Smash Odds on Twitter. You can follow them for daily free picks, and you can subscribe to the premium service for premium picks. Make yourself some money and enjoy watching the games. Today's pick, Franz Wagner over 24.5 points, rebounds, and assists. He had a nice game on Friday night. It's a solid pick. He kind of carried Orlando. My pick, Marcus Smart, double-double. That's plus 323 for you. So don't throw a whole unit on there. Maybe just try and make yourself a little bit of a come up with a cheap bet. He played well on Friday, had a good amount of assists. It wouldn't surprise me if he cracked double digits. However, might be a little tough with Tatum out. Any takes on that, Tim? I know you don't have the sheet in front of you with
I do
picks.
not have the sheet in front of me. I think that smart pick is good. I think overall, like last game, I thought he was moving the ball well. I think a double double, especially with Jason Tatum out, I think that means that he's probably going to have more of a scorer's role, right? Um, and because of that, the ball will be in his hands more often. So, yeah, I think a double double is entirely achievable, especially as a primary facilitator with Tatum out. I'm just hoping that Jaylen Brown's hitting his buckets. I hope Grant's hitting his buckets. Grant has, last game, I think we were talking about 1.5 was his line for 3-pointers. He fell underneath that. So you want to make sure that he's hitting those. But
The brutal
yeah,
pick from last game, Smash the Odds pick was 6.5 rebounds. Al Horford had 6 and got tossed. So he
I
was on
saw
pace
that.
to
I almost
smash that.
messaged you guys about that. I was like, oh,
I
I was
felt
like, I
so
don't know if he'll
bad.
make that. And I'm like, well, he didn't. Not in the way that I thought he wouldn't hit that mark, but yeah.
I
That's a
felt
tough
so
one. It's a
bad.
tough one. I felt bad for anyone who put money on that one just because, what are you
Well,
gonna
that means it
do?
was still a good pick. That's just a freak way to lose.
Yeah, I
Freak
mean,
way
like
to
people
lose
said
the
the same thing.
game.
There was a time where like AD all of a sudden like he like played like 3 minutes and then he just like got sick and got pulled out. Something like that. you know, you,
Yeah.
not much you can do there.
Yeah, what are you going to do? Ben says, great warm up, fellas. Yeah, I mean, we're almost done here. Any final thoughts from the chat? Any final thoughts from you, Tim, as we headed towards tip off?
Just take care of the little things. The big things take care of themselves. I want to see them crack down on possessions. Don't be giving up easy turnovers. Like if the defense is intense, okay, but like just be more careful with the ball. Like I can't be seeing any of these lazy passes where it's like, oh, I'm gonna go ahead and do like a no look pass, and it's just like, I wish Jonathan. And Jonathan asked this. I know that you ignored it. I saw it. Gonna acknowledge this because you obviously don't give
The answer is no.
a
They're
rat's ass.
bad.
I think there's a chance, but they've got to depend on other people to not make that wild card spot. Halen, yeah. So yeah,
Birkin comes in
Jaylen,
here and screams a
Jaylen
monster
Fee.
game for Jaylen every day, and
You
he's
know what?
eventually going to be right.
He has been right a handful of times though. He
Yeah,
did
I
call.
mean,
I think it was
that's
the
what happens.
game against. I think it was a game against Memphis where he's like, Jalen's gonna go out, and we were like, oh, like, hey, and he went out and cooked him. So it's like, if you say it often enough, like 60 to 7% of the time, like you're gonna be right. And you know what?
Hey,
Can't
hey.
argue with those odds. Those are good odds. We'll see. I think he could have a good game. I'm thinking he's gonna get like 35, 36.
I hope so. I hope they get a win. That's number one
Yep.
for me. All
I'd
right,
love
it
it
is
though.
3 p.m. We're almost ready to wrap up here, but one more time before we go, if you're on Guy Boston Sports, make sure you switch over to the How About Them Celtics podcast YouTube. There is a link in the description. I made sure I did that today. I know Jack's not in here anymore, but how about that, Jack? Calling us slackers earlier. I put the link there so people can easily go over and subscribe. Make sure you do that. You'll be able to see us doing these streams, doing other live streams, and you'll get all the pods there. So we won't be here in the new year, but you can be with us. Just go over there. All right. That's going to do it for us. Tim is at Tim Shields NBA on Twitter. You'll get all his work. He writes for Celtics blog. He's putting in work over there. The Vitamin C's podcast is something you will find from him as well. And you can follow me at Sam LaFrance NBA. You can get my articles at Hardwood Houdini and my complaints there. That's it for us. Bye.
Cheers.
It would be great if this stream would end. We're still here.
Oh, we're still here.
What is going on? Why will this not work?